everybody, welcome back to SketchCraft Live. I'm Rob Duenas, graphic artist Esquire, and if you're joining in for the very first time, you should know that we typically rant about art, movie, and game-related news stuff. So when I put the mic closer to my mouth, check that out. Chosen by either myself or you, the audience, usually just myself, Ashley, and Brandon, who are joining me today. Brandon, let Heavy James say hi.
Hello.
Also joining us, Ashley West from GangFeather.com.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going on? So, I'm just going to do a quick brief overview of some of the topics we're going to be talking about. We got some SketchCraft news to go over, some latest videos we put up. Also got some quick Game Cave updates. Got some quick Power Prints updates, so you all get filled up on there. A little bit of Daredevil talk, a little bit of Daredevil, no spoilers. And then Brandon's got some weird-ass topics we'll be going over. Something about liking bad movies. And, something about outsourcing. That'll be interesting.
Riveting topics.
Very riveting. And Ashley has some Mad Max Fury Road comic book stuff she wanted to talk about. So, alrighty. We'll do that in any kind of random order. So that's a brief topics. Today on episode 25. Can you believe that? We're on episode 25 of SketchCraft Live. Alrighty.
Yay.
So, check that shit out. I gotta go back and renumber these, actually. So let me just talk about SketchCraft news, and then I'll pass over to Ashley. So, very quickly, myself, Brandon, and my childhood buddy, Rich, a guy I grew up with, kind of learned how to draw and learn about Comic-Con and comic books together. We did a BVS spoilers review, like an hour long, the other night. That's up in the playlist right now. Also, I gave a quick, it's kind of an interesting video because half of it's a review on the movie, and then the other half is sort of me saying, hey, here's me just writing out a way they could have took the same exact premise and maybe made a better story that had character arcs. You know, took like an hour. Like, it's not even that difficult, folks. That video's up, so do check that out. Brandon, do you have any thoughts on how that went?
I thought it was fun. It was fun chatting with him. He's interesting and outspoken, and I like it. He was very fun. It was a good time.
Interesting choice of words, Brandon. Also, we did a Rogue Squadron trailer recap. I won't say reaction video because I don't put the trailers up. But Rich and I went over that, and Rich is pretty good at basically freeze-framing things and noticing details. And the guy was like naming, you know, T-47 Incom X-Wing fighter stats and shit. And I was like, yeah, that's why I used to have him do all the stats, because I don't fucking remember that stuff. So that went really well. And we got a lot of feedback on that, so people were posting up stuff going, wow, we like it. Also, I did an art tips video last night with Brandon, where Brandon had a sketch cover he's working on, and then we put it up on we did a live stream really quick, about 26 minutes, and kind of gave Brandon some tips. It's called Art Tips, Line Quality, and Construction. There'll be a little info. You can click right on there right now if you want to. Interesting fact about that, Brandon. It has 14 likes and 1 dislike.
Ooh.
Someone did not like that info.
I wonder if they didn't like us talking or my art.
Who knows? You don't get any context for the dislikes, and I get so few of them that I'm always like excited when I get a dislike. Like, what did I do? What
Right.
was it?
How can I repeat that?
Yeah, give me some more. But we've had a lot of good feedback so far. A lot of comments on that one.
And if anybody wants to hit me up, you know, I'll say my Twitter and Instagram at the end and just tell me what you think. I always listen to people's thoughts and opinions on my art.
And
So.
anytime Brandon has an issue, I'll be streaming it because that's how I don't yell at him. It's like
Moderately.
you hold a camera up to a teacher, they don't hit people, right? So it's kind of like the same thing. Like nicer to Brandon when we have to go over that. And then also Brandon's been uploading podcast archives from the SketchCraft podcast that we did for 4 years, from 2011 to 2014 or 15. Sorry, it was 4 years. There's about 56 episodes. Took out all the game conversations, so it's just all art related. And how's that been going for you, Brandon?
Pretty good. I was on a hot streak, and then, you know, I need to get more up, but they're a little time consuming. You put them together, but then they have to like render, and then you have to upload them, and then you got to organize them, and then you got to add all the tags, and you got to put the pics all in, and I messed up a couple times because I'm still relatively new to it, and that's the worst, because when you fuck up, you just fuck up again and again, and until you get it right, and it's a painful process, because I thought, oh, this would be quick, and before I know it, I waste like 2 3 hours on just one upload. So for anyone who doesn't think that like a YouTube page is an actual job or a chore or doing it, it really is. Like I used to think like, oh, I'll create a YouTube page, I'll create my own. It'll be cool. And I know Rob gave me shit about it, which he'll say. And it's true though. It's a lot of these people who are YouTube stars. It's a lot of time and stuff they have to put into editing videos, uploading them, tagging them, marketing them. It's a lot of work, and I only do like 10%, no,
And all the
5%.
content for you is already made. All you're
Right.
really doing is rendering the audio as video. So all you're doing is adding the photo, the key art
Hmm.
that was for the image, rendering that as video, and then uploading it. And that alone still takes quite a grip of time. And there's all sorts of random errors, just things that don't work out right, and you don't know what you did or what happened. So I think you made a comment to me about 6 months ago. You're like, well, I thought we were a team, and I was like, well, fuck team. All right, you want teamwork? Well, I'll throw you teamwork, dude. You can fucking do some shit. Start being like a team. So I handed this off to you because I didn't want to do it. And it's paid off. I mean, we're 23 episodes up so far, so about halfway through. Brandon made this comment to me last week about how like they'll all be up this week, and I laughed. And I was like, right. And then it turned out to be two will be up by Sunday, and that didn't happen. So I'm expecting all these to be up by the end of the month, right, Brandon?
Yes,
Right, right.
it is. What's today's date? That's, that's the
It's
11th. I got.
April, so by May 1st, before Civil War, all of them will be up, right?
Yep.
Yep, that's right. So Brandon helping out with that, which we appreciate. Also, I got to go back and enumerate the live cast, the current cast. So we're on 25. I got to go back and add 24 through 1 in the playlist. I already did it to the gaming stuff, so that's all renumbered. And the reason why I'm doing that now is because people are bringing up podcasts and they're like, oh, on that one you talked about. So I'd rather just say the fucking numbers so I can go back and look at it. All right. So I got some other updates, but I want to pass this off to Ashley. Ashley, what do you want to talk about? What you got?
All right, so probably everyone that wants to see Mad Max has seen it by now. It's been almost a year. I actually watched it just recently. I waited. I did not see it in theaters. I bought the movie and watched it and was able to watch all the features and just get it all at once. And then watch it again. So I watched it twice, and then I ordered the 4-part. Well, it's not 4 parts, but it's a four comics for the it's like a prequel comic series, and there's 4 of them. There's one for Furiosa's backstory, kind of before. It's not really a backstory, but it's the events that happened before the movie. And then there's one for Immortan Joe and Nux, and it does give backstory for them. And then there's a two-parter for Max, and kind of what happens before the movie, just like Furiosa. So there may be some spoilers to the movie and the comics, just in case you haven't seen them and you are interested. Just want to let
Really
you know.
quick, for the people who haven't read them yet, would you recommend them getting the comics? Yes or no? Then we can go into spoilers.
I definitely recommend the Furiosa one and maybe Immortan Joe, because you don't really, they're kind of, you don't have to. The only one that you is a continuation really is the Mad Max one. I could really take or leave the Mad Max beforehand story. But I do like the Furiosa, and then Morton Joe is okay because then like I said, it kind of gives you a little. Since we saw so little of really a Morton Joe, he didn't really talk too much, and he was in a car the most of the time. So it kind of gives you a little bit of backstory of like who he is and how he came to power, and a little bit more about his sons and the wives situation. So I would say the Morton Joe and Nux, because it also gives you Nux backstory from a childhood perspective, and then Furiosa, those two. Definitely would recommend those. Even though there was one part in the Morton Joe one where they lost me, and I can go into that if anyone's
Yeah, we'll
interested.
get into that later. Okay.
Yeah,
So overall, buy the Furiosa, borrow the others, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And you can like, I got them for like $8 on Amazon. It's
That's
not
not
that
bad.
bad.
Physical?
Physical, yes.
I say
I
eight
like.
bucks for the digital, huh? Good for you. All right, so go ahead, go into spoilers.
Okay, so I'll start with the Furiosa one. I kind of okay. So this is the one I read first, and really, I think the Immortan Joe one is the one you should probably start with. But again, it doesn't really have to go that way. So Furiosa, it starts out with there's a word burger, which it doesn't. You don't really in the movie. It does not talk about a word burger, but a word burger is basically a person that tells stories of the past, and they have all these tattoos tattooed on them as kind of like things to remember, certain maybe key points in history, and they have like there's names and everything. They're just covered in tattoos and in words. And Miss Giddy, the old lady in the movie, that's her name. I don't know if he says it like once. He's like Miss Giddy, and she is a. I'm pretty sure she's a word burger. They never say it, but she is covered in those tattoos, just like in the guy in the comic book. And so I'm sure that she's the one that taught the girls all of pretty much what they know. She taught them how to read and write and sing because Morton Joe gave them books because he wanted them to have a good life because they kind of don't really. But he wanted them to be educated. And anyway, it's kind of starts out where why I like this book. Why I like this book is because you get to know more about the girls, you get to know more about Furiosa, and when you know more about them, you maybe feel closer to the character. Maybe you have more, you can connect with them. Maybe you care what happens to them a little bit more. I mean, I liked the movie how it was. I was totally cool with it because I kind of have a short attention span anyway. So I was actually not wanting, I wanted to like, I didn't want to stop watching it. A lot of times I can stop a movie on a dime and just go do something else. But this movie, I had a really hard time doing that because it's so action packed. And, but with I feel like the Furiosa, if they had added 30 minutes, maybe even just 20 extra minutes of the beforehand stuff, I would have been just as happy. Because again, with this comic book, you got to see like how bad it was for the girls, and you and I think why they didn't is because there's attempted rape, there's rape, and it's probably just a little bit too much for the mainstream, maybe a little bit too much for the mainstream audience. It might have lost a few people. It probably would have been more expensive to
So what
make.
you're suggesting, Ashley, is in $100 million film is to not open it with rape. Like,
Well, no, I'm just saying that it
well,
might have
yeah,
been, it
right,
might have hurt it. It might
yeah.
have hurt their
Oh yeah. Oh
their
yeah.
box
Plus,
office.
you run the risk too of developing sympathy just by shock value. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You run the risk of like, we'll just rape that woman, and that's why you sympathize,
Well, the thing is,
versus
yeah, you.
learning their plight over the course of the film. You know what I mean? Like, right.
Yeah,
So,
because you don't even see the rape. You just hear it. There's a lot of you hear it kind of thing, and it's kind of horrific because you can hear it. Um, and I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird because like Rictus, he's the big kid. He's the man child. He's like sees the girl, and it's really crude because they they have her. They have the what's her name? Splendid. I can't say her first name. It starts with an A, but it's really hard to pronounce. They have her like kind of like sitting up on a table with her legs open, and there's three guys staring at her puss. I mean, that's pretty much what's happening, and it's like it's kind of crude. And so I think that's why it's like it's better. Maybe it was just easier to tell it in a comic book instead of on the big screen. It just maybe it wouldn't have caused so much controversy. So because the story is by George Miller, he did come up with this story, but he obviously didn't. He didn't write the script. It was written by another writer. But so I guess this was in mind, and maybe at one point was filmed, but they cut it because there was a lot of footage that they didn't use. So it's really hard to say. But I feel like out of all the stories, if they included this one, I would have been just as happy, probably.
yeah, I think the only downside to it, is that there is a conversation. I think it's a healthy one, to be made that when a woman's only real story arc in terms, or sorry, plight in stories, is she's either been raped or victimized in some way. You know what I mean? Like everyone in me, it's become like on the internet they call it, it's like a trope. It's like, oh, you just had to rape that woman, and now you feel sorry for her. So probably they didn't go with that for that, just for those obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I also think too, it's a licensed comic, so Miller might get a story credit, but he's going to get a story credit because he invented Mad Max. Just
Mm-hmm.
like George Lucas gets a story credit on every Star Wars comic in a way, like
Yeah.
created by George Lucas. But yeah, okay. Um, I do think having known a little bit about the comic, I haven't read it yet. I know like the Mary Sue jumped on it and a bunch of the internet was like, let's talk about that comic. It's got issues. I do think we are entering a weird phase though for artists that I haven't seen since the early '90s, where there seems to be a lot of weird self censorship on what you can write about. Like I think we live in the post Ultimates world, and I don't mean Ultimates in terms of the movies. The movies are a result of the comic called The Ultimates,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
which came out post 9/11, and that's where the superheroes got real dark and gritty. But we live in a world that kind of forgets that there's indie comics. You know what I mean? And everything's really commercialized as far as comic books go. So we don't see, as fans, we see a lot of the comic books as supplements to TV and movie, you know? And in indie comics back in the day, there used to be a lot of harsh shit, way more than the stuff you see now in comics. I mean, I'm talking like just really fucked up. Go read Boiled Angels someday, or even shit Poison Elves, if you ever read that back, or the original Crow comic, right, Brandon? Like, the original Crow comic
Oh yeah, it was
makes the
very
movie look
graphic.
like fucking Sam Raimi's Wizard of Oz film. Like, I remember when I like in the movie the hardcore emo guy at school. We had one, right, the Marilyn Manson kid, and he was like, "That fucking movie's fucking cheesecake," Like I was like, "What?"
Oh man.
Like, like what do you mean? What? It's not dark. Like he said, "Nah, it's fucking censored."
Yeah.
So I do feel like it's great that the book contains. It's not just an adaptation of the movie. It
It.
contains stuff that
Yeah.
might be more risque for the film. It is a
And
shame though that when people are writing that stuff, that then they're like, "Oh, you can't even do that because like that."
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. That.
Well,
Go
it
ahead.
yeah, and there are other parts where like the girls will you see that they care, they really do care. And you see that in the movie they do care for one another. But there's even a part where like they kind of actually like they hate, they hate Immortan Joe, but they actually sometimes make fun of him when he's not there. Like this one girl, she put something on her face and then she put like a whole bunch of salt on her face or something to make it white. And then she pretended to be Immortan Joe and was like, "Daddy loves you, girls," and they're like, "We love you, Daddy." And like they made it. They tried to give you, like they could still, even in the darkest times, kind of have
And find
fun
humor.
and make, yeah, and create humor. And they made fun of the war boys too, and because it was funny. And going to Furiosa, since the comic book is about her, I mean, she basically, why Furiosa, according to the comic book, was stationed with the girls. She watched over them. She was like a night watcher. Well, she just watched them all the time. It was because Morton Joe didn't really trust Rictus, because Rictus was like he kind of wanted the girls for himself. Like he wanted to rape one of them, and he's like, and Morton Joe's like, "You can't do that. That's mine. You can't do that." And he's like, "You can't stop me." And he's like, "Yes, I can. I'm gonna get Furiosa in here." And so that's where I got Furiosa. And at first, the girls don't really like Furiosa. They were kind of like mad at her because they're like, "Why don't you do something? Why do you just stand there and like let him do this?" And she's like, I can't help it." And they even ask her, they're like, "How did you lose your arm?" Like, and she, it's like, obviously you find out that her arm was lost. It wasn't like a birth defect or anything. And I think they asked her. I only read through it once, but I think they asked her, "Were you one of his wives or something?" And so they're leading to like she may have been maybe one of his wives at some point. It was kind of hard to know in the movie. There was not a lot of dialogue. And
Right.
so it was hard to tell. And George Miller, I mean, he said he didn't want there to be too much dialogue because he wanted everyone, if he didn't, he wanted it to translate well in other countries where they didn't have to have subtitles to know what was going on.
Yeah, but I mean the Mad Max films don't have a
Right.
ton of dialogue to begin with. You know what I mean? Road Warrior, a lot of it's silent. So.
Yeah.
Um,
But
yeah, that's great. I mean, look, Also, I think too, to add to that point, there are comics now that are gaining mainstream attention, even from celebrities that deal with wider issues than whether Batman is dead or alive, right? Like comics like Saga, even The Walking Dead, like fucking even Invincible, if you, you know what I mean? That can get pretty ultra violent. But it is interesting. Like I said, I saw a few of these. Some people really dig the comics, some people really don't, and I sort of get both.
Yeah.
But I do think that we need an environment where licensed properties can, like the comic can go further than the movie. You know what I mean? In a way that, like, if Batman's murdering a bunch of people and the movie don't want to deal with it, then I guess we'll explain in the comic. I wish the movies wouldn't, but I don't know. I wouldn't touch one frame on Mad Max Fury Road. Like for me, that
No,
was my
yeah,
favorite movie. That and Creed were my
Right.
two favorite
yeah.
films
I
last
will
year.
agree with
Like,
you. I will
yeah,
agree.
like just
But
leave it be. Like
but I was saying, like, if they did want to add that, me personally, I know a lot of people probably wouldn't, but I'd be like, okay, But how it is, it's great. I love it, and I didn't want to put it down, or I didn't want to stop watching it. That's a good sign. So
all right, excellent, Brandon. Let's move right along. What you got?
Let's go with liking a bad movie. So what I mean by that is we all have movies that people hate, like just hate with disdain. And we started talking about we did the Batman vs Superman recording, and I started thinking about it, it's like, yeah, technically, it's a broken film, it's a bad movie, blah blah, but I still like it. Like even when you pointed out all the stuff that's wrong with it, I still like it. And I think a lot of fans and fanboys they hate to let someone like a bad film. Like if someone told you, "Oh, I like the newest Fantastic Four movie," you're instantly like, "Ugh, why? It's such a bad movie. Why would you like that?" And I've seen a lot of hate on the internet the last couple of weeks about it, and I think it's okay to like a bad movie. I think
Kyle says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Brandon,
yes, the
explain,
original,
Brandon. Explain.
the original was great.
No,
The
no,
original,
you
the new.
did like the new one.
No, I told you I
hmm
like that. There's new turtle movies.
hmm
After seeing it
hmm
and seeing it a second time,
I
I
played the
didn't like it
review
so
for
much.
everyone on the stream. You know that.
it's
Like,
okay, Brandon. I did the same thing. I saw it and I was like, it was amazing. And then I like kept watching. And I was like, okay, I was probably very much
Right.
wrong.
it's
I'm sure.
okay to like a movie someone you respect doesn't like. You understand what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like, if I meet James Cameron, and James Cameron is like, I fucking love Batman and Robin, I'd be like, you fucking loser. No, it'd be like, well, what? Like, really? You like that movie? He doesn't. Just saying. Um, I have a friend, Fabian. He's from the UK, and I met him in a movie theater. I actually went to go see Ghostbusters on Christmas. They played it at this theater on Coronado. It's this cool Art Deco. It's the one I go every time there's a Captain America movie. I go to this Art Deco theater because it looks just like the movie theaters in Captain America and the First Avenger. And I met him there. It was me, my wife, and then only him. And we had the two best seats, and he was trying to find another seat that was just as good.
Mhm.
And he turned out to be a really big cinephile, so we made friends, and he really liked Terminator Salvation. I had a hard time dealing with that because Terminator Salvation isn't a movie. It's almost like a sizzle reel that just goes on and on. Like I'm like, how can you? But I don't already long since been burnt out of that. You can't like a bad movie. For me, it was the Phantom Menace. Like when the Phantom Menace came out, I was like, you know what? I like it. I'm holding on to my Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like I'm holding on to it. It wasn't bad. Yeah, it's rocky and in places and Jar Jar Binks, but it has Darth Maul and the pod racing. If you just ignore some of that other shit, was pretty cool. Um, but uh, Attack of the Clones comes out, and you're like, well, it has lightsabers and rain. Like, can't be bad. And then Revenge of the Sith comes out, and you're like, I give up. They said they're bad. Like, they're just, and it's okay. Like, I've already lived through, I had to go through Matrix 2 and 3, and Pirates of the Caribbean's 2, 3, and 4. Like, I understand that they're just mediocre, forgettable films, that made $1 billion. You know,
Right.
of course we're dealing with the Marvel versus DC people, and that fucking nonsense. Like when I was a kid, it was like Nintendo versus Sega, right? So now it's Mario. It's Marvel versus DC, and I think we've had it so good with Marvel films overall, right? That everyone wants the DC extended, cinematic universe to be just as good, and when it's not universally praised to be that, you just feel like a kick in the fucking nards, like, it's not that bad, and I agree, it's not Batman and Robin, but it just isn't what, it's not at the level that we should be expecting a $250 million tentpole film to be. They're spending a
Right.
lot of money. They made us wait 3 years. I mean, I keep thinking about it now. By the time we get a new Batman movie, maybe Ben Affleck directs and maybe don't, the earliest is probably 3 years. By then we're probably gonna have like 60 hours of Daredevil. You know what I mean? Like when you add up
Right.
all the TV, like in the Defenders thing, and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, we'll probably have 40 hours of Jessica Jones by the time some 2 hour Batman movie comes out. For me, it's like, why? Like, what is so really? Like, really? Like I don't know, Brandon. Like it's the amount of anticipation versus reward
Hmm.
at this point. And when you have a situation where the Marvel seems to be getting it, Pixar's got their shit together, right? More than they don't. Um, Lucasfilm's getting their shit together, like they seem to be on point. And even Disney apparently can put out a fucking Jungle Book movie that's gonna impress everyone, which blows my fucking mind. How hard is it to make a Batman versus Super? We're not talking about bad movies. We're talking about Batman versus Superman. I thought about the Ninja Turtles movie a lot, and especially like this new one coming out of the shadows. And if I were 8, I would be very excited for that movie. But I'm not. I'm not 8. I'm not 8 years old. You know, um, so I don't care. It just doesn't appeal to me. Maybe if there was something more, for me in that, the way James Gunn put adult stuff as well as kiddie stuff into Guardians of the Galaxy, it might branch over more. But I'm not up. I'm not into it. It's like right now, I had the movie I'm gonna fucking take the biggest shit on, dude. If you really want to know, is this Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie? Nothing good can come from this. Nothing gets Saban's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. It's gonna make GI Joe look like fucking Scarface. All right, like I'm telling you, you're gonna come. We're gonna come out of. You're gonna come out of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers going like fuck. Like I'm gonna go back home and watch Batman versus Superman. Like because you want to. Then everyone's like, no, this is because you know, we have an expectation. The bar has been set. When Ant-Man can deliver an experience, I'm gonna finish that. When Ant-Man can deliver an experience that generates 500 million worldwide, and Batman versus Superman only gets to like 800, seems like a problem, right?
Yeah.
Now I'll say this: the thing that blew my mind this week, couldn't believe it, folks, right? Is my wife, unbeknownst to me, was like, oh, Sunday morning, her Russian friend who's 50 something and her programmer friend who's like 50 something. So two 50-year-old women and a 30-year-old woman all went out to see Deadpool for the third time on a Sunday morning, 2 months after it came out. Came back going, we can't wait to buy the Blu-ray. We're gonna have a wine night, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I mean, look, it's a fun movie. I felt like Iron Man when everyone said it was better than The Dark Knight. And I was like, how you figure? Like, I mean, it's a fun movie, but better than The Dark Knight. Like I can't figure it. But that movie captured something that is just not being addressed by Zack Snyder, Brandon. And so, fortunately, it's okay to like a bad movie. I think, case in point, Brandon, you and I hated Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim.
Oh yeah.
I think Ashley, like the podcast we did, I even went Pacific Rim job before that was a thing. I was like, put that
And
right
I,
out
I
there.
actually I watched that one. I remember. I actually like Pacific Rim, but it's more of an I like monsters. Okay, so if you get monsters in a movie, I'm just gonna be like sold.
I
You
like the
know?
universe. I don't like the script or the lead
Yeah,
hero. You
I
know what I
get
mean?
you.
I like the chick and Idris Elba.
It's
Charlie Hunnam guy or whatever his name
Right.
is.
It's very
I'm
oh
too
my gosh. My
I'm too
brother-in-law
good.
put it.
Yeah, I'm just too good. You know, it's like watching Frozen. My only fault is that I'm kind of too good. Or Big Hero 6, which I had to sit through on my vacation. I was like, let me get
I
this.
like Big
His
Hero
name is
Six.
I
Hero,
like Big Hero
and
6.
his only fault is he's kind of just too good. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I need a little bit more than that. You
It's a
know?
kids movie,
Great, Brandon, but
kind of.
so's Batman versus Superman. Brandon, Thor is a kids film, bro. Goonies was a kids movie. The kids had faults.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I
You're
guess
and
I just like Big Hero 6, so I'm just like, rah, rah.
great, you know. And then I just didn't care for it. I don't think it's horrible. It's very pretty, you know. From a
Yeah.
story, I would rather, if I had to raise a child, I would sit them down in front of Full Metal Alchemist before I let them sit that through that movie, you know, so they can learn well-rounded values about characters who make bad decisions and have to pay for them, you know.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, it's okay to like a bad movie. You're not a douchebag. Unfortunately, I seem to be the only one in this argument who took the serious hit when I was like, I don't know, the movie's all right. Faggot. I mean, like I got called. That's not my words, folks. Like
Oh my
that's the
gosh, I
internet.
saw that. I watched it. See, I saw that before it was deleted
I
because
didn't mean to
I
delete it. I was trying to what do you do that? Unflag him because he was flagged as spam, and
mm,
I removed him from the channel, and it did some weird. I don't like to delete bad comics. I really wanted to just be like, look at this. I mean, look at this one. You
yeah,
know, I wanted to bring
but
it up, but I
I
don't know how
did.
to operate fucking there's a in the messages it goes to like most likely spam or not spam, and I didn't know how to flag it properly. You know,
Mm.
so I fucked that one up. Lesson learned. But you saw it, right?
I did. I went back to see if it was still there and it was gone. I was
I
interested.
he can repost again. I made sure he can. Like I was like, fuck. I tried to find a way to get that comment back, but
Come back.
yeah, I blame myself for that one. So, but I'm gonna take a lot of shit for the turtle. I mean, Brandon, we did that turtles trailer, and the only comment we got on there was a guy defending it. You know.
Right.
Um, Kyle says he'll come clean. He enjoys Godzilla 2009, Pacific Rim,
Nope.
and the Marine. I think we both agreed we liked the director of Godzilla, but I felt it was just a remake of Close Encounters. I called it Close Encounters of the Kaiju Kind, and I could show
Wait,
you how that movie basically lines up to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, almost beat
2009.
for beat. The Godzilla film from
Oh, you
2009.
mean Cloverfield? Was that Clover?
I'm talking about 2013. No,
Wait.
98.
Oh, 1998. Okay.
I was talking about
There.
the
Yes, I
last
do now.
Godzilla film from a couple years ago. Oh, 98. Yeah, Kyle, you suck. Like, you can't like Godzilla 98. No one like it's not a poor Kyle, you know. You know, I'll name a movie I like that sucks. Iron Eagle. That is a bad movie. It is completely preposterous. You know, I watched it even when I was a kid. I was like, no fucking way this could ever go down. Love it. You know, like all the bad. I mean, the guy who plays the Saddam Hussein character played Poirot. Um, Agatha Christie had like her own Sherlock Holmes character called Poirot, this Belgian character. You ever hear of a movie called Murder on the Orient Express? That's a Poirot
I,
film.
oh
Murder on
no.
the Orient Express.
Wait, what's the real thing then?
Well, the book is called Murder on the Orient Express, but there was a series
Oh,
of different books. Kind of like when you watch Sherlock Holmes, they each have a different name. You
right.
know, like Count of the Baskervilles. But that featured Poirot. So the guy who played Poirot is playing Saddam Hussein in that movie. And it's just so bad. I have told you time and time again. You're like, what is he? Is he slow? Is he draconian? Is he Transylvanian? What the fuck is going? Like, but I love Iron Eagle. I put the soundtrack in every time I play MotorStorm. Like I just put the motorcycle bike on and I just listen to my '80s music. I think Brandon, a lot of people would agree, Transformers, the cartoon movie, a lot of people like, right?
Hmm.
They got a lot. I hated that movie when I was a kid. Like the opening 5 minutes, and I would just turn it off.
Right.
Like after the Prime Megatron fight, I'm like, I'm done. Ashley, you got a movie you like people hate? Like,
I'm sure I do.
can't think of one.
Space Jam, probably.
Ooh,
I've heard people just tear that apart. I'd be like, but I loved it as a child.
you
It was
don't
the
know my
only
Space
movie.
Jam story, right? I actually,
What?
so when I was telling Brandon when I went to go see Batman v Superman, the trailer was at this movie theater called Mission Valley 20. Now they had an event where they took us to go see the trailer, right, a year ago. Same movie I went back to go see the actual movie theater I went back to go see the movie. Anyway, at that movie theater in 1997, I wanted to see the trailer for Star Wars Special Edition in a movie theater because I'd never seen the original Star Wars. And I called every movie theater in San Diego, and the only one who could give me confirmation they were playing the trailer in their theater was the Mission Valley 20 with Space Jam. So I had to call. So I drove me and my girlfriend down all the way over there at the time, paid the money to go see Space Jam, walked in, saw the trailer, and left. Like I was like, I'm not sitting through fucking Space Jam. Like you're fucking.
Did you ever see the movie?
In the army, I eventually saw it because you watch anything when you're downrange.
Yeah. No, I used to go to sleep with that on as a child. My dad, someone, but I wore the tape out on it. Eventually, it busted.
Jeez.
Yeah. I was, it was a very sad day when all of a sudden it was like white noise, and I was like, what? Or whatever it does, and but it was stupid. It was weird because I would go to sleep with it on, but every time after it got through I was time to slam and welcome to the jam, and it's like going through Michael's life. I was asleep by the time it got to the Looney Tunes, so I don't even
One more time.
No,
One more-
Brandon, you got
no.
put on the spot. We'll have Brandon do a cover sometime. I'm sure he'd be more than willing to do that. But Brandon, other than Turtles, Batman, and half of your movie collection, like X-Men, like Wolverine, you like the Wolverine movie, right? What other
no.
what
No,
other
I
films
don't.
do you
No.
like? That people, what name of film you like? People hate.
So first off, no, I don't like either
You like
Wolverine
the
movies.
Wolverine.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Andy really liked Wolverine #2, and I went to go see that fucking train wreck in theater. And the last 5 minutes, when Silver Samurai or whatever it's supposed to be, Silver Samurai is drilling out Wolverine's claws, I leaned forward and I just stared at Andy, like I was staring through him, and I just stared there. I leaned on the rail and I just looked at him and watched him watch it, and he just saw me just hating
All right, but
him.
name a movie you like people universally hate before we throw Andy under the bus. He's not here to defend himself, so come here.
Shit,
You
I
can't
said-
think. You only like good stuff. Like, other than because I know 2 films you like that So give me one.
Or you think?
Give me some new stuff. What? Come on, there's got to be something.
I liked when it first came out, 47 Ronin with Keanu Reeves, which a lot of people didn't like.
Did you like Speed Racer?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Visually,
I like it. That's
Visually,
okay. I like.
I've never
I like,
seen that movie,
Fuck
but I
visually.
saw.
I like it. I'll sit through.
Yeah.
I'll sit
Yeah.
through all the way through. I like Speed
I
Racer.
think I liked it. It's
And
not.
It's hated.
It's very hated. So I guess that's one I like.
Guys, it's hated so much. I met this game developer, John O'Neill. He's currently developing the Firefly game, right? The MMO over at Sparkplug. I met him in 2006. He was a friend of my buddy Adam Kogan that I was doing that Mosaic comic with. Right? I'm just trying to paint a picture. I'm not name dropping. So we're at dinner during Comic-Con. I tell John and his buddies at the time that this new system, the Wii, is going to be really huge. And by the way, Speed Racer's genius. And he was like, no, look, this was after the Wii thing, but he was like, I was like, I love Speed Racer, and he's like, you're haha Speed Racer, it's horrible. I'm like, Speed Racer's a good movie, and so that whole Comic Con, I was like, Speed Racer. They hired me a few more times over the couple years to do some freelance. Every time they'd hire me, I'd get an email from him making fun of Speed Racer. I never responded to it. I haven't said anything to him since. I follow his stuff. I like stuff. The other day, he said something about driving and his kid, because his kid's learning to drive. I'm like, so then I quoted that phrase from Speed Racer, driving's all I know, like, I'm so good. And he was like, you fucking bastard, you waited this whole time. It was his birthday or something, and he was like, you waited this whole time to do the one Speed Racer ship for the time it would matter, right? And I'm like, yeah, I made that work. He's like, yeah, okay, it works. And I'm like, the movie still sucks. I'm like, no, it don't. But, so we're all going to like a movie everyone hates,
Yes.
The trick really is when they really do make a fucked up film, don't spend your money on it. That's my best advice. Like this, because that's the only way they learn. I didn't pay to go see Batman and Robin. I didn't actually pay to go see Batman versus Superman. They didn't get my money. I got to go to a legal free screening, and I didn't go back. So that's where I put my money down. I'm not buying the merchandise. I'll buy regular classic Batman shirts if I want one. But that's how I vote. I vote with my dollars. And I advise everyone else to do the same. If you like it, buy more of it because that will get them to make more of it. And if you don't buy it. I'm not saying you got to steal it.
What about products like Dr. Pepper, where they just screen print the whatever, not screen
doesn't
print, but they just
matter.
print the Batman on there, and you're like, I can't help it, but it's on this Coke, and I don't
That
drink
doesn't
Cokes,
matter.
but
That doesn't matter. It's
Okay,
the
good.
actual merchandise, like
A shirt.
Batman. Yeah, T-shirts, the toys, the posters, the soundtrack, the movie. Direct merchandise. Don't buy. I never bought a prequel toy, action figure, poster. I bought the art of books. You know what I mean? They got me on that, and I just like, well, I got to support them making more of these art of books. I have not bought The Force Awakens, and I love that film because I refuse to support double dipping. You know, blatant double dipping. Like I know they have a real documentary coming that is not on this thing, and audio commentary that's not on this current disc. They don't even mention Harrison Ford's injury on this disc. I will not give them my money right now. Later on, I will. You know, so I just advise that if you're really that passionate about it, that is the only way you could actually vote. Is with your dollars. Period. Okay, so let's just round this out because we're already hitting the 40-minute mark. We got anything else?
Oh wow.
And a Power Prince Game Cave. I don't know. Now I'll get on that later. Um, Brandon, you had one other question. Can we get through it fast?
I don't know. Probably
Nah, I'll probably do a separate art
save
tip
it.
on that. I will say this: I'm 4 episodes into Daredevil season 2. I like it, so
Oh yeah.
I'll get through the remainder next week, and then we'll do a recap talk. So
Is it scary? You know what I mean? Scary, like like disturbing, scary.
did you feel the first Daredevil was disturbing?
Yes.
Then yes.
Okay, I'm gonna stay away from this one. I just can't handle stuff like that. So you know what I mean? That
Yeah, that's
you
fine.
know what I'm talking about. That kind of just torture.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I would advise you to not.
Yeah.
to not
Sorry
get
about
involved.
that.
No, it's
Just-
all right. It's all right.
I'll have to sit that one out.
All right,
whenever
Brandon,
you
where
guys
can people
review it.
find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Lead Heavy, LEAD Heavy.
And Ashley, where can people find more of your work?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and I'm Gang Feather.
And that's a wrap, folks. Big show today. As for myself, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave your comments below. Share the videos. Share them on Twitter. Share them on Instagram. I don't fucking care how you do it. Just get the word out. Appreciate it. As always, the Sketchcraft is recording for a live internet audience like Kyle right there. Right now, Kyle's out there. And fully supported by viewers like you. Please leave your comments and feedbacks below, and we'll see you next week on the next Sketchcraft Live. Let's play some music and get out
Bye.
of here. Bye.
Bye.
No, not that one. This one.
Remix.
There we go. Brandon has marshmallow face.
I can't hear the music.
Marshmallow face!